Have you ever had a near-death experience? Or perhaps someone you know may have had a near-death experience? Well, if so, we would love to hear your story and have you as a guest on our podcast. For more information, visit NDE.world. Again, that's NDE.world. We would love to hear your story.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast, where we explore the magical, mystical, and spiritual world of near-death experiences. And now, Ashton Lewis and Daphne Lynn.
Welcome back to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis, and in the studio with me today, I have my lovely hostess, the one and only Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Miss Daphne Lynn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. How are you today?
Absolutely fantastic. As always, I just love being here. I love sharing this information with others, So I just want to let everybody know, Happy New Year. This is our first show of actually the year 2024. Yeah, so we had over 50 podcasts alone in the year 2023, and we got kind of a late start.
We got started late, though,
So hopefully we'll have a whole lot more this year to be able to share with everybody.
Most definitely.
What we're going to do, we'll do kind of a recap since we're starting a whole new year. We've got new listeners. We got those who are returning, and to all of you guys, welcome back. And you can get more information about who we are, what we do, our podcast, and things like that at nde.world. Okay, so go over there and check it out and enjoy. So today, we're going to we've already covered this in a few different podcasts, but what I really want to do is look into the actual elements, the overall elements of the near-death experience, okay? For those of you coming in, we want to share this information with you guys. If you look at it, more specifically, the near-death experience is the NDE is the actual overall experience itself, okay? Keep that in mind. An NDE means somebody nearly died. That was the experience of nearly dying. Okay. However, the experience of an actual NDE is broken down to many elements, and there is a very spiritual or supernatural phenomenon that's really, connected to this, and it's known as the out-of-body experience. Part of the near-death experience. Okay, that's where all the spiritual elements happen. But you don't have to have a near-death experience, to have an out-of-body experience. But that's where all the magic starts to happen. So let's kind of start right there, Daphne, if you don't mind. What is an out-of-body experience, and how does one typically go into that? And then we'll just kind of take it from there, if you don't mind.
Right, the out-of-body experience, without having an NDE, can be brought on through meditations, focus.
Yes.
And then through an NDE, it is the experience out of the body. And a lot of times an OBE, you're actually looking upon your body. So, but not every one of the experiencers look upon their body. Those that do look upon their body, depending on whether they are experiencing this through a sickness and have went into an OBE, which led to the NDE, those more tend to know that they're dying and know that that is their body. Now, with the more traumatic, all the sudden events that are brought on through an NDE is the OBE. They, a lot of times, do not realize that they are looking at their own body.
I know.
That is very interesting to me, and but that's part of the OBE is just the out-of-body experience, looking around, sensing and knowing things that you couldn't possibly know had you actually been in that state in the body.
Okay, perfect. Now, and also, you don't have to meditate to do that, although you can reach that through states of meditation, but an out-of-body can occur anytime, anywhere, to anyone.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Yes.
Just to put that little plug in there. Now, the next thing, once a person is going through this experience and they're coming out of their body, like Daphne had mentioned, there is an awareness. There's some sense of awareness that, am I dead? Am I alive? What's going on? How am I making sense of this? Actually, I'm not making sense of this. How can I see myself down there?
How am I here if I'm there?
Yeah, how am I here if I'm there? So it's really that awareness. There's that sense. That's that consciousness or that awareness. That's that you.
The physical, spiritual
the
you.
spiritual being, who you are, yeah.
Because we're both.
Right, and it just kind of ties in. One of the things that that's related with this is now you're tied into the spiritual world. Now it's time to go on a spiritual
journey time
to experience things that aren't limited here to this plane of existence. And as mentioned earlier, every near-death experience is personalized. Okay, it has to do with that individual. Everyone is different. However, there are major elements that are in harmony. That's what we're kind of looking into right now. But one of the things that we notice with a lot of NDE stories is that some say that they are just beings of light. They're just light energy. Okay. And some also have described themselves as a light form, a light being, but a form, a form with
shape,
with a shape like an arm or a hand or a head or whatever.
Right, the silhouette of
silhouette, yeah, but a light being, a light being's silhouette, or just light as a ball of light, just light energy, pure energy. So we do get that kind of variation a lot,
Yes.
There's also the feeling or the sensations of traveling through space, I guess, through dimensions. Sometimes these people come out of their bodies and they're traveling up through the hospital, and some of them start just traveling through space itself. You can go anywhere again, not limited to the the physical plane.
Exactly, yeah. Some even experience being in a void or nothingness or darkness, but peaceful in those places, a calmness. So that it's just that conscious spiritual you. Right.
And there's often, feelings of being in a different realm, in a heavenly realm, and some type of ambient, blissful, heavenly bliss, I guess, other than the physical, earthly realm. And like you mentioned, some do experience that void or that darkness, but it's a peaceful darkness. It's not a
right,
painful,
you hear that a
harmful,
lot.
And we do have what's called the NDEs that are a little more distressful. We'll get to those
later.
here after a while, because we're going to kind of show the difference between. But right now we're focusing more on the positive near-death experiences. So,
and even though some experience the void and nothingness in a peaceful situation, that's not necessarily the tunnel, and that a lot of times people experience the tunnel, some don't experience the tunnel, and that tunnel is just a passage, a transition from this whatever realm to the next.
It's what your mind or your spirit is, or the source is going to put there for you to comprehend, to understand.
Right.
Some people walk down paths to get to a certain point. Some people walk over mountains. Some people go through tunnels. So. A lot of here in the West, we hear a lot of tunnels.
Yeah.
Tunnels seems to be very common, but like you said, it's not in all of them.
Exactly.
It's very common. So there is the tunnel, after the black light, and all these aren't in chronological order, by the way. So they all vary when they happen. But typically, usually the tunnel and things like that are usually typically more in the beginning. They usually go through the tunnel and. Either when they're in that blackness, sometimes when they're in the blackness, they may see like a little light. Like
a little pinprick.
They call it a pinprick of light, yeah. And that light starts to get bigger, and they feel like they're being drawn to the light, or the light's being drawn to them. So there is that connection, that magnetism between them and the light. Now, also going through the tunnel itself, they say they go through the tunnel, and then they'll see that light.
Exactly, the light at the end of the tunnel.
So the light would probably be one of the main things that, pretty much comes up next, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I do believe so. Most of the time it is. And then a lot of times they just are in the light without the tunnel. I mean, it's
True.
No structured way to it, but there's common threads within them.
Correct.
And that's what I love about these. These is really shaped and helped to transform my belief system.
Mine is
in afterlife and life as we are now.
Yeah, mine as well. Mine as well. Now, one of the things that's really, really cool about these experiences that we hear so many talk about, we can maybe look into, is there seems to be a really heightened senses, I guess, for lack of words,
Oh, yeah.
You feel everything on a supernatural, for lack of words, supernatural level. In other words, you experience love in the deepest
you're
degree.
plugged in, and it is total sensory, not like we have here.
Yeah. Like you experience, like I was mentioning, like love or that acceptance, that peace.
360 vision.
Yeah, you get you have 360 vision. There's always seems to be a sense of timelessness.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. We know time is a human construct, and it's something that we use to kind of explain things here on Earth in the physical realm. However, it seems that on the other side that there's no sense of time. Okay, or a sense of timelessness. In other words, they sense that time is different on the other side than it is here. And again, that heightened feelings of peace and euphoria and love and all. It's just like you said, you're plugged in directly to source. So you're going to be feeling this love on a level that you can't really explain. And a lot of people say that it is ineffable. You can't put it into words. You can't explain how it feels on the other side.
They can explain it in a way that we can comprehend it, but not fully understand and get the whole of the experience.
Yeah. So on the subject of these heightened senses, what about telepathic communication? Because we hear so many stories that they don't really speak like we do here on this level, but most things are just done with thoughts. It's just telepathic. And a lot of times they say they just think it. And once you think it, bam, it's there. So that sense of heightened communication on that telepathic level, I mean, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that being plugged directly into source, the telepathic communication is as a collective. It's not just one individual's thoughts being communicating with the beings or source or whatever. It is a collective of family, of angels, of source. It is a collective because we're all one. We're all from source. So we get that direct collective communication through telepathy on the other side.
Right. And the communication is pure. Everybody knows what everybody's thinking. You don't have ill thoughts. Like down here, you can have ill thoughts for people. I mean, you can think things behind people's back. You can fool your own self, much less, you fool everybody and you fool yourself. But over there, you can't.
Right. And the beauty of the collective and the communication is I've heard through so many of these stories that even though it's a collective and you hear and sense everyone's thoughts and feelings, you can single out specific conversations with different people in that area of the collective. So yeah, that is so odd that, even though it's a collective and you would think your mind would be going crazy, oh God, this is too much for me to handle. It's not like that. We cannot truly comprehend what these people have experienced. We can get a gist of it, but I mean, there's so much to these stories that has shaped my reality now.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is amazing.
Absolutely. And, during all this communication, it's just amazing. Like you said, how you can communicate with one person, then everything's all connected. I can't even explain it. It's just so beautiful and intense. And it's just a whole different level of, what do you want to call comprehension or consciousness that we are here at this level here. We don't really comprehend things on that side. But, you also hear a lot of people, they hear voices, or maybe even music. I hear a lot of people talking about music, so.
Yeah.
Now, another thing we notice while in this other worldly experience, calling it.
Or outward worldly experience.
Yeah, this other experience, this out-of-body experience, of course. There are beings of an extraterrestrial sense. They're spiritual beings, either of the angelic, even religious figures like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna. There are those kind of beings. There's what people would call gods, the light. But there are
Deities.
just deities. There are beings, family members. A lot of people see family that has passed on or crossed over as well.
Pets and animals.
Pets and animals, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're gonna touch base on that, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and mention it now because that is those other beings that's on the other side.
Yeah.
So now there's always that sense of that, and a lot of times there is a sense of a being with that person, but they never get to see the person. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. I understand that.
Yeah, we do get that a lot. That
Yeah.
they've had this whole experience and they know someone, but they know it's someone, benevolent. It's a loving, kind being.
Yes.
It's not something that's there to harm them.
Right.
Now, one of the things I personally really like is the actual life review. Okay, let's kind of break that because the life review itself actually has elements within it. We can actually break it down, but we do see a lot of common elements in the life review as well. So
Yeah. The life review is one of my favorite parts of the NDE process as well, because just from the different ways that it is expressed to the individual, to the balancing out of the scales. I mean, there's beauty in this. The life review is really a lot of times from your birth to your present death.
sometimes pre-birth, yeah.
And that's what I was going to say, is sometimes they know life before going into the womb. Wow. So
Yeah.
that life review is pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, and I like how you said that. It was, the balancing the scales. Now, what would be the most perfect justice or the perfect balance, okay, when something happens? Let's say, like, if you do something to someone or someone does something to you, the perfect balance would be for that person to feel, what the other person felt due to what you did to them, either good or bad or kind or loving or harmful, hurtful, helpful, loving, hateful, whatever you did to someone,
You have to experience.
you're going to have to experience that, and you're going to have to feel that,
Right.
the way they felt it. So from what we understand, the life review is typically, there's typically beings with you, either a being, okay, and that is, like we said, a loving, kind being there to support, or multiple beings around you.
Family members around you.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many
beings there with you to go through this life review to see all these things that you did, and so it's typically presented in a lot of different ways. There's like more of the holographic fashion, screens, some type of screens projected. I guess for lack of words, television type screens, video screens. There's some kind of pictures on rocks. I've heard
pictures
stories
on tables.
on tables. It's going to get presented some kind of a way that
Right.
that is an experience that you had.
Right. And I think one of my most favorite of all the ways to experience their life review was the one where I think it was a lady looking out over a lake, and her life started playing on the lake as a movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, so there's so many different ways that your life can be reviewed
And presented to you.
and presented to you. So it's just amazing all the different ways that
People
that
review
come
their
across.
lives. That's right. So, but the common element is that, many do. Now, not everyone during an NDE experienced these, but the majority do. Okay, just keep that in mind.
And the one thing that I absolutely love about these experiences through the life review is no one else is judging your actions and your deeds. No one is judging you but you.
Right.
So yeah, it is, and that's what we call the purge. That is, that is the balancing of the scales when you get to experience everything that you've been through and hurt others, love others. That's the balance.
It will balance out, and it'll get you, on a different level where you need
Right.
to be, and it'll make you think twice next time. So
Right.
that's from what we understand. So the life review, like Daphne mentioned, is not a judgment. Let's being taught, say, like with
From
a
a
lot
religious-
of mainstream religions do.
Right.
However, you don't get out of it. You do have to experience all the good and bad that you've put out. This ties in with the cause and effect principle in hermetics. It's the reaping what you sow principle in the Bible. It's the do unto others principle. I mean,
Right.
these are all spiritual principles that are within all of us as humanity, not to harm another soul.
Right. And what comes to my mind with you saying that, I mean, literally, it's just these images are flashing in my mind. So thank you for bringing that out, and my spirit guides for that, because one of the instances was of someone saving an insect out of water, a bee out of water, and that life was saved. So that is another soul, another spirit form.
Right.
So
right.
we have to realize we are one with everything. So everything we do is connected with all life forms. So that little insect that got saved was thanking the person that saved it. And I mean, would you have known that bee was talking to you?
Absolutely. It's amazing. Even stories of trees themselves.
Trees, yes.
You know,
Plants, worms.
Yeah.
Worms. I mean, oh my gosh. One guy was brought down into the earth and was brought face to
that
face
level.
with an earthworm. And the earthworm seemed so huge and giant to the guy because he was micro. And here's this, you know how small a worm is to us.
Mm-hmm.
So it was huge to him, and he was saying how the worm was just saying how happy it was because it had babies. I mean, life form, spirit. We are all connected. We are all connected. So we have to change the way we think about life. The insects you think are nothing, you go over there and squish them, you just killed something.
Right.
Life.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to experience that.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it. I am.
Yeah.
But since
We're all
learning
a
of
work
all
in
this,
progress.
my whole perceptions of life forms have changed. So if I see an insect or a bug in the house, I try to help it out.
Me too. My life has
Spiders
changed
and
since
stuff that get in.
took a different approach, and I've made this change. I guess a little over a year ago. Would you say?
Yeah.
Before I would swat a mosquito or a fly, or buzzing around and hit it and kill it. I mean, I never
Spiders
thought
in the
twice.
house, smack
I'm not gonna
'em.
lie,
Yeah.
but a little over a year now since I've learned that appreciation of all life, I would help them out now. I wouldn't
Yes.
kill it. I would do the best I can to take and move it somewhere safer, get it out or whatever, because it's our responsibility as humans to really look after all forms of life, even the ones who are smaller than us especially.
Right.
When you're in this life review, all right, you are plugged in to the matrix. All right, keep this in mind.
The source.
Yes, you are feeling everything. You're re-experiencing the experience from your perspective. Now, here's the beauty. You're also feeling it from the other person's perspective. You are plugged into them. They're plugged into you. You are feeling what they felt. So the joy you gave them, you're going to feel that joy back, that love. You're going to feel it all at once, okay? However, here's the reaping and sowing. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you will have to experience their hurt, their
Right.
pain. Not only that, but the pain and the hurt, and however it changed that person's life, the rippling effect, how that affected their children, their families, how it affected their families and their families, their jobs. Everything you do has what we call the rippling effect.
Yes.
So you are tied in one way, you, two-way, feeling the other person, and three, from source itself, God itself, since we all are source. Human beings are recording devices, and we record our everyday experience through our eyes, ears, our
Through
skin,
our senses.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All of our senses we experience, and we are recording all this, and it gets played back in the life review,
Right.
and that's where we get our balancing going on at.
Right. And another thing that I've noticed is really common in getting to feel the distressing parts that we've put others through, or others have put us through, is that not only you get to feel what was the other feeling, but you also get an understanding, a knowing of situations, a 360 understanding of the whole situation from all perspectives. You get answers to it all. Like when we have a conversation, we may not be understanding the feelings that someone's feeling.
That's right.
But on the other side, you do get to understand those feelings.
And there are many cases people may hurt somebody's feelings and not even know it,
Exactly, yeah.
But when there's that intentional hate, when you intentionally, with intent, harm another person, okay, you can't escape intent, okay?
Right.
There may be accidents throughout life, God forbid, a child run out in front of a truck and hit it. It happens every day. There are accidents that is not an intention, okay?
Right.
That isn't what we would call an accident. Okay, there's still, that still will have the rippling effect that's going to trigger off. That person will have to experience, the killing that child and how it affected that. But there would be a different feeling, I would think, compared to someone who had that evil will, intention to deliberately harm another soul. It's going to hit. It seems like it's just going to hit so much harder with the intention part of it.
You make me think of the episode we did on Hitler, with you saying that, because he had to go through the life review and all he done himself. So there's that balancing out there, So we all have to feel.
For what I understand, there's ages and ages of therapy for him, or
until he grows and learns.
Once he grasps the seriousness, because you can't escape that.
Like a heavenly hospital reform.
You can't get away. You're going to reap what you sow. That's a law. Okay, that's
right.
One of the laws of life. You can't get away from that. That's something to really seriously consider. So you have to, the main point is just be careful with how you treat others.
Right.
Really, that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, with him, having to go through these things to grow and learn as a soul, is you think about that heavenly hospital, that heavenly rehab that you have to help you understand, to help you grow as a soul. That is very loving.
Absolutely.
That is not you did this, I'm going to punish you forever in the tormenting hell.
Well, when you really start looking into that, you realize the eternal hell and punishment, hell wasn't even taught. Jesus never taught it. For those of you who may not know that, the historical person,
late 5th century?
Around the 5th century, yeah. It wasn't even a church teaching for the first, 5 centuries.
Yeah.
You have,
that's indoctrination.
The Socrates influenced Plato. Plato influenced St. Augustine. St. Augustine had a very heavy influence of that. You got Tertullian, all that bunch that came in and created this doctrine that was based on everything from Dante's Inferno to just wild imaginations and really just the control, the power to come in and really just to really take over. They created, what mankind thinks of or deems as hell or torture or eternal torture and punishment.
To control.
For control. It was for control.
For fear, to keep you in fear and subservient to other people.
Yes. So, and do people have hellish experiences? Absolutely. And we'll look into that here shortly. But so back here to the life review. Now, there's always somebody there to comfort you as well. So this is going to hit you hard. Most people. And it's going to hit all of us at different levels because you really get to feel this stuff. And they will be there to comfort you. I've heard of stories, people just like, so hitting hard, but they kept lifting them up and encouraging. That's
Angels
okay. We're here.
Up,
we're here for you. It's okay. You're not being judged or nothing. So you judge yourself, like Daphne mentioned earlier.
I even heard many of the accounts where the people had lived a good life, had been kind to others.
Yeah.
But through their life review had a breakdown. Oh my gosh, no, oh my gosh. No, stop. I can't handle this.
Yeah.
Because they're seeing from all angles what effect they had on another being.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me it's ultimate. It is the ultimate, and it's so common in literally, as we know of, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of experiences. It's a very common element is the life review. Is it in all? No.
No, it's not. Yeah.
You know, is it presented the same way? No.
Nope.
But it is something that, you know, a high percentage of people experience. So that's something to really take into consideration. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, you always notice that it seems like when they're on the other side, they get this download of all this information and super knowledge and the all-knowing. I like the way you put it, how they tap into source. You know,
Plug back into source.
Yeah, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, you know, it just, from a biblical point of view, absent in the body is present with the Lord. Okay, so this is a experience right there. Your conscience, your being, your soul taps back into source where we come from.
Where you've actually, from what I understand, you've already been there all along.
Exactly. So
this is just like a piece of that source, isn't it? Ain't that right?
Yeah. So
what we're
we're a
experiencing is
piece
of
of the divine. So when we return back to the divine, the source, spirit, whatever, God you want to call it, we get that instant download of knowledge, all-knowing knowledge. I mean, I've heard experiences where they saw the making of the world. I mean, so it's an all-knowing download, and there is so many that have had that.
Yeah. And some people, you know, every now and then will bring bits and pieces back. However, our brains aren't really designed to process the all. Okay, we can only we process as much as we can here on this level. Okay, of reality.
Right.
That is a whole different level. So most people's brains can't process that enough to come back and bring that back. Every now and then, some people bring those little nuggets back.
Yes, but they recall having known all things.
Yes, exactly. That's
they
what I was going to say.
retain the knowledge of knowing, but not knowing everything.
What it was, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So 'cause different levels, because we're here on the human level, the this level of reality or this plane of existence. Our brains can process, like I said, stuff here. That's a whole different level of vibration and existence is that world. So I can see how tying into it, you can get that all knowing, but trying to bring that back, I can see where it could be an issue. Now, speaking of bringing that back, now most NDEs, it seems like they'll get to a certain point where it's going to have to be brought to their awareness that there's, some type of border or a point of no return or maybe some type of barrier or boundary. Do you want to maybe touch base on that a little bit?
Yeah. And it is, and it doesn't happen for all of the experiencers, but a lot of experiencers do get to a border to where they cannot go any farther. Like one experience that's coming to my mind is there was the consciousness standing before the beings, and they kept noticing a light behind the beings, and he was wanting to go to the light, but the being kept stopping him.
Blocking him.
You can't go there. That's not for you.
That perfect example. Yeah, that would be that boundary part.
Yeah. So, and in that moment, a lot of them are given the option to stay or go.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they're not given an option. It's like you have to go back.
That's right.
Yeah. A lot of times it is more it's not your time. You cannot stay.
Right. We do hear that a lot, and especially, in fact, we can definitely connect that together. Once they've experienced this blissful, world, and are told that they have to go back, what typically happens? Are they all excited and ready to go back?
Yeah.
There's a resistance there a lot, and I can't blame them. I mean,
I think the reason for this is because it's all the elements combined. It's that love. It's that feeling of being home, knowing that this is where you belong. So that's why these people resist. They don't want to come back to this earthly realm.
Well,
because that's home.
About tying in a body, that from what I understand, you're a spirit. There are no
boundaries,
confinements. You're not confined to something. Whereas this body, they're on the other side. They feel like they're 50 foot tall, okay, figuratively speaking.
Right, yeah.
Now you expect me to go back into that little bitty, 5'7" or at 6 foot, at 5'4" body.
With you saying that, yeah, there's so many accounts that they describe that feeling of like they were being pushed and shoved or sucked back in or being covered with mud. I mean, there's so many ways that these experiencers have explained the way the body feels heavy.
I would say, to go with that thought, wouldn't you say the majority are more of a negative?
With the body, yeah.
With the return to the body?
Yes.
It's not typically described as something pleasant. Sometimes it is. Sometimes they just transition. They don't feel anything. But a lot of times we hear like, oh, no, I don't want to go back. I want to stay. Or, oh, wow. And when they went back, like Daphne had mentioned, is that uncomfortableness, that constrictedness, that confinement after being this free being of spiritual light, now you're conformed. You can't do that anymore. Yeah. So that makes a difference.
Okay, so with all that having to come back into the physical, we have the after effects of dealing with the body, the experience, what all happened. I mean, there's a lot of adjustments that these people have to go through in returning to their bodies.
Even making sense of the experience.
Exactly.
A lot of them will hibernate and hide it for a while because, when you try to share this with some, family members, a lot of people don't understand this. They might think that person's crazy. That person's a little, I want to keep an eye on them. But a lot of people, they, even trying to share their experience, they get a lot of resistance. So now it becomes like, okay, am I going crazy? Nobody wants to listen to me. So some of them, they maybe just take that experience and maybe just put it up in a box in the closet until the time,
and don't talk about it.
Yeah, because until they can grasp the time to be able to make sense of it.
Right, and that's the sad part is for those out there that have had these experiences that can't share it, and they really, as a human, as a soul, as a spirit, they need to share this because you know how it is if you have something on your mind, you need to talk to someone about this. So, you need to talk to someone to get it off your chest. And once you do, the relief, the feeling that you have, well, these people that are holding this in need to know that they are not alone out there. There are people that have had these experiences that will not think you're crazy, will really want to experience your story with you. There's beauty in these stories, and it so moves me because there's beauty in these, and people hide these because they feel ashamed or people will think they're crazy, and you're not.
These are cool.
They are beautiful stories, no matter if it's hellish or not. These are glorious stories of the other side.
Absolutely.
And we would love to hear as many as we can from the actual experiencer.
Absolutely. Go to NDE.world.
Yes.
It tells you everything you need to do.
Share your story with us.
Your experience. So when they come back from the other side, all right, we notice that there's changes in their attitudes and
their beliefs, systems.
Now, a lot of times there are lessons learned or lessons to be learned from the experience.
Which is why they have the changes in their beliefs and their attitudes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times, every now and then, we also hear some that may even, have like an increased intuition or even psychic abilities or even superpowers. I've even heard some stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that is a commonality in these NDE experiences is a lot of people do come back with extrasensory perceptions of things.
Yes.
A heightened sense of touch, or can read thoughts or know things about people or see angels. I mean, the list goes on and on as to the extrasensory gifts that are given to these people who have had them.
Yes. Now, also along with that, they seem to have a more clearer vision of their life's purpose, for lack of words. They learn from the experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
with me not even having an NDE, I'm learning of my life purpose. Just from listening to these accounts, it's like I'm on an all-time high nowadays. And I love that. I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned earlier, that there are pets in the afterlife. These I want to throw a couple of side nuggets in there while we're on this subject.
Yeah.
A lot of people do see their pets, their loved pets that they, that were family members at one time that crossed over. So look forward to that, and we also hear stories of them communicating. Since everything is telepathically, they talk to you just like humans do. So
Exactly,
everything is
yeah.
telepathy. So you'll be able to understand, Max, your dog, sitting there talking to you. Hey, buddy. Hey, Joe, man, I appreciate you, man, when you used to give me all them steaks and all that. We used to go to the park. And, so from what we understand, we do hear experience where the animals do communicate with you telepathically.
You just reminded me of one of the accounts where a guy had lost his dog, and it was a female dog. And on the other side, she told him, you have to go back because you have to take care of my puppies. You have to take care of my babies.
Yeah.
So, there's that communication of understanding pet language. It's not pet language anymore. It's the communication of spirit.
Absolutely. In fact, I just finished publishing a book for a guy who's had several near-death experiences, and he's been dealing with his angels and angel guides since he was 4 or 5 years old. He's got beautiful stories. In fact,
looking
we are
forward to
talking right now about bringing him on the show, so we'll definitely bring him on. But
yes.
One of his stories was about one of his dogs that he had. But long story short, it passed. But he told stories of it actually literally coming back and hugging him.
Oh,
It was, I don't know if it was in that altered spiritual state or whatever, but he did see it and came back and communicated with him and then took off, so.
That's awesome.
You do have your pets there as well.
Yeah.
Now, there's other things that are kind of tied in with this. We hear a few different things. I'll touch on a couple of the words, and if you would, just please chime in. Your life plan, pre-birth, soul contract, okay, or soul agreement. What do you... Can you maybe kind of touch base on that? We hear a lot of stories of where we actually plan our own lives when we come here to experience this, and then we go back and see how we kind of maybe lined up with our purpose.
Were we on purpose?
Yeah.
Or were we in harmony with our soul purpose? What our soul plan was? Yeah, that has really had my interest piqued over the last few months, because to know, and I heard this years ago. I was listening to a podcast driving at work, and at the time I was like, nah, I don't believe that. But I continued to listen to the story. He said, we all plan our lives. It's so that soul contract, life planning that happens is a real thing that happens, from the people we have in our lives to, what we look like. I mean, where we live,
who we're going to be hanging out with,
I mean,
kindred spirits.
Yes, there's so much that you do plan out, what you want to experience in your life.
What do you need to work on?
Yeah, and for those that are going through traumatic things in life, there's a lesson in a part of your soul contract.
You need to learn a lesson.
That you're working on in this lifetime, in this incarnate. So you're working on a lesson. Yeah. You just have to figure out what that lesson is to get on.
We're just here to experience life, but also learn from these experiences.
Right. We're to grow as a soul, as a spirit. Yeah. That's the purpose for being here, is to learn and grow and love and be kind and share positive things with others to help encourage others.
Which makes sense with what they call the soul contract. Your purpose for coming down here, which ties into the next subject here, reincarnation. Okay, reincarnation has been taught since the beginning of time.
Through all religions,
even
almost.
Christianity used to teach reincarnation until I don't remember exactly when they changed it over from that, but later on they quit teaching it. But Jesus himself taught, reincarnation. It is a teaching.
We covered that on an episode too. So
and however, reincarnation is different for a lot of different religions. Most people believe in what we call the karmic wheel, the where you do good, you do bad, and it's going to affect the afterlife. And if you do bad, you're going to have to come back and live that life again, and either be the other person that you hurt, or you're going to have to experience that bad to balance yourself. That's that one there. But with the NDEs, and ever since we've been studying this as well, and all these experiences, reincarnation brings a whole different meaning to the picture. And I've heard stories of people talking to Jesus and asking him about reincarnation. He said, yes,
But it's not what you
reincarnation
think.
is real, yes, but it's not what you think.
Exactly.
Okay, from what I'm understanding, reincarnation is that after you die or you cross over, okay, you have to go through your life review. So you were cleansed then. You're going to hurt. You're going to feel what you had to feel, and you're going to realize you either passed or you failed your test. If you failed your test, chances are you're going to be feeling a lot more pain on the other side. Okay, from what I understand, 9 times out of 10, you are going to be motivated to want to come back and fix what you messed up, or what you didn't do, or what you had an agreement or a contract or whatever to do. You have a choice. You can stay there. You can stay there and dwell. That you are not
Right.
made to do anything, because that affects your free will.
Exactly. And it makes me think about one of the recent episodes we done on the reviews, is where the woman was able to ask a bunch of questions, and she asked, next time she comes back to that side, would she be able to stay? And the guides there were like, you can, but you love your lessons, so you'll probably want to go back, because you never stay long when
Think
you're
about
here.
that.
So yeah, we choose to come back.
Yeah,
Yes.
you choose to come back, and that to me resonates with the whole cycle. You see,
Right. And if you choose to stay, there's other universes, other realities that we are unaware of in this physical body.
Yeah.
I mean, they're starting to talk about, quantum realities, and you see it in the movies, and just there's so many other multiverses out there that we're taking as entertainment in movies, when
A lot of reality.
it is exactly a little bit of truth in all movies.
You're so right.
Yeah, so we don't know half what we think we know.
No,
we're
we
just scratching the surface. Even
I don't
talking
think
and touching
most
with the
people ain't even
NDEs.
scratching, Daphne.
Yeah, exactly. Some people
now-
don't even scratch. They just go through life and think that this
is it.
physical body is all there is.
Yep.
When we're
There's so
not
much
just
more.
this physical body, we are spiritual in a human form.
Now, you had mentioned earlier, kind of slightly just touched base on the soul groups or the soul families. Mm-hmm. What exactly, like when you had mentioned on the soul contract that you could be doing, what exactly is this soul family or this soul group, or these elders or this committee? Okay, because from what I understand, these are all part of that experience as well. Your soul group, soul family,
Right.
elders committee, for getting together and making this agreement, this arrangement, this contract. Contract
Right.
is a man-made. I don't like that word contract. Just to let you know, what's the first 3 letters of a contract?
God, right.
So I don't like that word. That we do soul contracts. But
Well, that's why a lot of
whatever
people
it
say
is that we need
life
to
plan.
do. Yeah, life plan. I like that life plan. So how does the soul group or the soul family and all this fit in with that life plan?
It's just all part of the collective. It's all the family that you have, from parents, aunts, uncles, the friends that you have in your life, the partners that you have in your life. These are all part of the soul group, soul family, that no matter which lifetime you come in and incarnate that you come in through your reincarnation, you are going to have these same souls in your life in that lifetime
In different forms.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. They're going to be different characters, but they're still going to be that same soul, and that's the soul groups.
That's why you feel some people you might meet them and you felt like you've known that
You've
person
known them
all your
forever,
life.
yeah.
Some people you're just drawn to. You're really connected. Well, these are part of your soul groups. So,
Yeah.
and there's also people that you feel uncomfortable around or you repelled from. Those people are actually part of your plan as well. We're all here for a reason. There are no mistakes, so everything that
Right.
we experience is for you to grow.
And from what I'm learning too is there's no coincidences. It's all synchronicities. It's all planned.
Get you thinking.
Yeah.
So now let's take this coin that we're calling NDE and flip it to the other side of it, okay? Let's take all these beautiful, blissful, heavenly experiences, and we're going to turn it around, and we're going to look at what's called DNDE. And these are what's called the more of the distressing or distressful, however you look at it, tomato,
Mater?
yeah, Demeter,
The mater sandwich?
So distressing NDEs is a very, very, very small percentage, okay? However they do occur.
Yeah.
Now, usually they entail a few different things. Do you remember what like the three basic elements of a DNDE were? It was the actual like the void. There's a black void.
Yeah, just confusion, the blackness, the
confusion,
void.
Like the experience doesn't make any kind of sense, and
Yeah.
And,
even the hellish.
yes,
Going
and
into the hellish. Where they also encounter beings of darkness. They hear screams or torments and torture.
See
But
demons
they
and devils
really
and
can't make any sense of any of this.
There's no harmony with any of the hellish or any of the DNDEs. They're all chaotic. So
Right. There's no real structure to any of those the way there is with the more
the
pleasurable.
regular NDEs,
Right.
the regular,
The light,
absolutely.
say the light and the dark, with the lighter side of the NDEs, those have the common thread, the unity in those, where the DNDEs, they don't have anything in harmony, and just because they're experiencing a hellish or distressing NDE doesn't prove that there is a physical place of torture, like fire and
Called
brimstone,
hell, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, hellish experience do not prove hell as a physical, literal place. Correct.
Right. It's a state of mind, because I've heard in so many of the stories, especially through our reviews, if you've been following along, listening, you can go back and find this episode where they asked, is this heaven? And they said yes, but it can also be hell if it's what you believe.
Right.
So we have to really, get the religious indoctrinations, the religious dogmas out of our thinking, because it's not part of what's on the other side. From what I'm understanding from all of these NDEs, it is just a belief system that is not a reality.
And we do not deny people do have these. So we're not
Right,
putting
yeah.
anybody down who have had hellish experiences. Okay.
Right.
However, one thing we must understand, in most cases, not every single one, everyone is different. However, we're talking from reports, statistics. In most cases, a DNDE, okay, distressing or dark NDE, however you want to look at it, typically precedes a NDE. Okay.
The pleasurable, yeah.
A lot of times they'll go through that darkness. However, something will happen and they'll be transformed right back into that light.
Right. Thank you for bringing that up, because there's a couple of experiences that are coming to my mind with you saying that from our reviews that we've done. One was, the lady was just in this place of darkness and void, and she kept hearing these screams all around her, and a voice kept telling her, this is all there is, this is all there is, over and over and over. And, she was taking all this in, and she finally said, no, this is not all there is. And that's when the light started coming, and she went straight over to the other side. Wow. And then on the light side. And then there's others where they just said, oh, God, help me in these moments, and was straight away
automatically
into
there in
the light.
In the light.
Yes.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. That's the main thing. Just because people have hellish experiences, and they do, okay, but they're very, very rare. A very small percentage of people actually experience those, but they do, however, occur. So just keep that in mind.
Right.
So that pretty much is kind of like an overview of the actual NDEs and a little bit about the DNDE as well.
Yeah.
And
And there's books out there, if you really want to do the research on this
Sure.
and learn for yourself, there's books from many different aspects of this experiences, from the pleasurable to the hellish and distressing books out there. So just do the research and find it. Read what has your interest.
it's there.
And I've read both because I wanted to know, because when this hit, it's like, oh, I need to learn about this. There's something in this for me that I need to learn. So I've read both good and bad, and I have made my judgments on it. And my belief systems have changed because of learning of the two different accounts for the NDEs.
Yeah. And to wrap things up, we forgot to mention, but we can leave it with that thought because it can tie into your life right now. But during the life review, after your judgment, in other words, that you judge, okay, your
purge.
judgment, when you're purged, when it's all said and done with, almost always, I know that's kind of ironic there, almost always. Is that an oxymoron? No, I don't know. The source asks one question. It usually comes in a different form, one or two. And this question is, did you learn anything?
What could you have done better?
And what could you have done different or better? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're going to have to answer that question as well. So if you can take all that information and apply it today,
Exactly.
and start doing good today. If you've harmed someone, go back and fix it. Because guess what? That'll be better on the other side. If you can fix it now,
Right.
it's going to come up on the other side that you went and fixed that. You put forth that effort. You went and showed that. Okay? It's going to have a different effect on you if you can fix everything on this side and live the way you're supposed to live from this day forward. It's just going to make it a lot easier on the other side when we get there.
New Year's and New Year solutions. Fix these problems that can be fixed. Love when you haven't loved.
Harm none.
Harm none. I mean,
Ever.
it's a new year to do new you. Work on it. Jump in it with your boots on, like I always say, and live and love and experience the way we're supposed to experience.
Or it's what we call a new year, because time does not exist, and it's not really a
Exactly,
new year.
yeah.
But if we use that, for an example, then it's a new year to really discover who you are,
Exactly.
because you already are all you need to be.
Right.
You just gotta
We're
know
all
that.
a spark of the divine.
That's right. Awesome, Daphne. Thank you so much for coming out in the studio today. We appreciate you and your
Thank you.
your loving
doing
little
this.
spirit and your knowledge and things that you share with us, baby. So thank you so much, and looking forward to our next episode together.
Me too.
Absolutely. And for all you guys listening, don't forget to go to NDE.world for more information. Thank you all for hanging out with us and putting up with us and listening to us. We love you all so much.
Thank you.
And may peace be with you all. Until next time.
You'll always let your light shine.
For information about the NDE World Podcast, visit NDE.world. That's NDE.world.